Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from the relationship plus the true off my chest subreddit from Bumblebee, who says, my 28 female fiance 30 male is ghosting me on our wedding day. How can I calm my anxiety? 28 female, I'm getting married today to my fiance 30 male. Just the legal documents signing and our ceremony is on Saturday. I haven't slept in 24 hours. I'm just feeling so much anxiety. For reference, we were together / living together for about 3 years before becoming long distance for 1.5 years. I'm back in the country for a week to visit him and family and to have our wedding. For the last month, he has been ghosting me for sometimes even weeks at a time. I know it's because he's going through a mental health crisis, but no matter how much I tell him his actions are causing me pain and straining our communication, he can't change that. When he goes through rough times, he absolutely shuts down for everyone, especially me. It hurts so much every time knowing that even the person he says is his best friend and future wife, he doesn't trust or respect enough to share or ease his pain. I thought coming back to the country and the marriage would wake him up from his ghosting tendencies this past month, but it's not. He had a very important meeting at work yesterday that either meant he'd get a raise or be unemployed, and now I don't hear anything from him at all. He's ignoring my calls, he's ignoring my texts, and there are red receipts, so I know it's intentionally ignored. It's the morning of, and we're literally set to sign our marriage paperwork in a few hours from now. But I was up all night because I can't shake the anxiety that this isn't what he wants. That he's just doing this to appease me, despite this being a joint decision. I still can't even get a hold of him. I try so hard to communicate everything with him, but this hurts me deeply down to my core. Part of me wants to drive over to his apartment and beat his door down and just demand answers as to how he could treat someone he claims he loves this way. But I know he'd just shut down further, say he's sorry, and then bury himself deeper into his guilt and depression. How can I be supportive through his mental health crisis while also keeping firm on the this is 500,000% some disrespectful and harmful behavior that is absolutely unacceptable in my opinion? When we're about to be long distance, he begged me to try it out because I knew his inability to properly communicate his feelings would be miserable over long distance. But he begged me and promised he would change. I would say he did improve, but if this last month has shown me anything, it's that I'm about to marry someone who has no qualms and sees no consequence in ghosting your spouse for weeks at a time. This whole thing gives me so much anxiety that I have no idea what to do. Any advice on how to calm my anxiety or maybe try to be more supportive to coax him out of this horrid way his depressive episode is manifesting would be greatly appreciated. Before I forget, yes, of course, I've tried to get him to see a therapist or get on medication for years. There is basically a 0% chance that if it's coming from me or anyone in my family, he would ever listen to that advice. It's incredibly frustrating and not even an option that I can bring up with him anymore without the conversation devolving and him shutting me out even further. I will not be tolerating or responding to any accusations of him cheating or people saying don't marry him. He is loyal but has a multitude of mental health issues, and I will marry him regardless of what anyone says on the internet. I just want some advice is all. Edit. I won't be reading anything anymore, and please stop messaging me. If you see a woman who is genuinely struggling with something and clearly has no one else to turn to for advice other than random people on the internet, and your response is to ridicule her and call her an idiot, then congratulations. My last idea of seeking help has failed. Clearly, I have no one else to go to. It's my wedding and I'm on Reddit. I don't know why I expected anything less than hate messages and ridicule. Maybe there isn't some magic way to help him through this period of grief, but I didn't think I deserved to be sent all these cruel messages so instantly. To the people messaging me calling me stupid, idiotic, doormat, and that I deserve whatever unhappy life awaits me. You've won. And I know you said that you're going to marry him regardless, but you really do need to take a step back and think things through. We see in many of these stories that people use, they try to use like marriage or potentially, getting a pet or having a child or something along those lines to fix a relationship, to try and patch something over, and it never works. You said it yourself in this story that he doesn't trust or respect you enough to share or ease his pain. That's something you need in a marriage. That's something you need in a relationship. You need that respect. You need that trust. That is the foundations of a relationship. And look, I'm incredibly sorry you're going through that, and it must be a hard time, especially with the decisions you got to make for your future, but I would strongly consider it. And I know it's difficult, but this is your future. Icy Original says he's been ghosting you for the last month and you thought marriage would fix this. You didn't want anyone here to tell you not to marry him when that's the most logical and smart decision here. You've created your own misery and are determined to continue doing so. So what do you want from us? We can't make him unghost you, and we can't make you feel better about this decision you know is dumb as hell. You have a man with mental health problems that refuses to get help. That's causing severe relationship issues, and you're willingly signing yourself up, aligning yourself legally to have more of these problems till death do you part. When you have kids and he ghosts you then, what are you going to do? I hope you get what you deserve from this situation, whatever that entails. Opie says this marriage has been planned for much longer than just the last month. It wasn't some solution I created by myself, and it isn't no contact for the whole month. Just a week of no contact before he comes back and apologizes for the absence due to unavoidable life events. In contact for a week before another week of no contact before something else comes up. We spent the whole day together 3 days ago, but because of the meeting yesterday, it's now been a day and a half of nothing again. To answer your question of what I'd like, compassion and actual helpful advice was what I was searching for, not judgment and malice. But Opie came in with her next post and says, my life was great. My relationship was great. Until yesterday, it suddenly wasn't. This last month felt a bit off, but I didn't think it would lead to this. I still love him intensely. He still loves me intensely. He wants to stay with me, it's just that he says he can't do marriage because he can't untie the trauma he has from the idea of it from his childhood. Cult stuff. Mum says I'll be a pathetic fucking loser if I stay with him regardless, and that I'll never be a part of the family. But I want to stay with him regardless, but I don't know if I can live with the constant fear, anxiety, and insecurities that will come from being with someone who can just leave whenever he feels like it. My wedding is on Saturday, and my family still wants to have it since a small family gathering already anyways, since his family wasn't invited due to cult stuff. My life, as I know, feels completely over. I don't know what to do. The person I turn to for empathy and compassion turned to me screaming that I'm a fucking idiot. I'm only in the country for my wedding. I live abroad. My new job and my fiance pressured me and reassured me I should already use my new married name professionally. I'm a teacher, and all my kids already know me as his name. Everything sucks. I can't stop sobbing. Edit to clarify. He left me while we're about to sign the marriage certificate. It's a symbolic left at the altar since there was never going to be an actual altar anyway. Update. I told my mum that the way she phrased her advice and opinion was cruel. She told me she's tired of my drama and doesn't need it in her old age. I'd already told her she was right, and I knew what she said was right, but just that the way she said it was cruel. She said she no longer cares about maintaining a relationship with me, and that it isn't worth the drama at her age. I apologized because she's right. I'm a piece of shit who never saw the situation hurt and humiliated her too. I wanted to just have this be a nice party with friends and just spend time together. I'm going to try my best to keep my negativity inside so it doesn't spoil the mood. Maybe there's a hope to salvage it as a good party, but I think once I return abroad, that this will be the last time my mum will ever speak to me again. I don't know how I could repay her for all she spent on this wedding, but hopefully removing myself from her life will maybe make her life more peaceful and less stressful, even if it destroys me. As for him, thank you all so much for your kindness, advice, and perspectives. It truly makes me feel better to read the comments, even if they hurt and I deserve it. We'll be talking tomorrow about it in person, and I've scheduled an emergency therapy appointment for myself for tomorrow morning. I've never done therapy before and I'm scared, but I know it's what I need. I was so angry at him for ruining my entire life that I don't know if the love I have can salvage this. So we have a further update in a moment, but a couple of top comments with OP replying to them. Giselle says, "No, hun, you can't be with someone who cannot effectively communicate their fears and needs and instead chose to run. He failed you. He does not get to treat you like that. You deserve better. Your mum may have let her anger for you make her word things poorly, but she is right. That dude does not get to have his cake and eat it too. Go back home. Go no contact with him. Finish out the teaching contract as it is. Then my recommendation is to find a teaching job in a dream location. Maybe a traveling teacher for a few years. Heal, live big, and if you wish, find love again." Opie says, "I'm a traveling teacher already. I'm home right now just for a week so I could do my wedding. Back to where I live abroad next week to live a life of isolation and loneliness." Thunder replies to him, "Please elaborate on cult stuff. That could literally be anything." Opie says, he's seen marriage used as a way to entrap and oppress women due to the cult culture of his family. He doesn't understand that what he's done is created a tilted power dynamic where he's holding all the power and autonomy, and that I'm scared. That I'm the scared, anxiety-riddled one, terrified he'll leave at any moment, in any possible future we may have now, which is honestly worse in my opinion. Another commenter says, "So many questions, but at the top of my head is these. Why did he agree to marry you? Why were you using a name that wasn't yours for so long that your students know you by that name? Haven't you talked beforehand with him? Was this relationship one-sided?" Opie says he asked me to marry him. My job told me to start using his name because the school year started in April and I'd be changing my name in May. I said no, it felt like I'd jinx it. I called him and he said stop being such an overthinker and just use my name. I talked with him, he reassured me. It's been 3 weeks that my kids know me as that name, and to be honest, yes, it does feel one-sided, but not in the way you're implying. So OP comes in with her update and says, "For a brief recap, I was going to the officiant to sign my marriage license with my fiance, who I'd been with for 4 years. He chickened out and said he couldn't marry me and ruptured my image of us." On to the update. Since I was so brutally humiliated, it really made me think back on all the not great parts of us. He was always very gaslighty whenever I'd claim his actions reflected the opposite of his words. "I respect you, I care for you," so I ended up talking to him. I asked him to define what his definition of loving someone, respecting someone, caring for someone, and trusting someone means. Needless to say, they were twisted and not healthy at all. I tried to make him see that, and he had a few moments of "holy shit, I think you are right. I don't actually trust or respect you." Now, just because he admitted it, it didn't mean the crazy selfish actions didn't continue throughout the entirety of the conversation. It was so crazy how I'd never been able to articulate it in a way to where he actually understood before. He actually had the goal to say, "Wow, we should have had this conversation a long time ago," because of how much he was realizing he was treating me like trash, then gaslighting me about it. I was like, "Bitch, I've been trying to tell you this for years, but you've never respected me enough to listen." I was always too emotional to articulate it properly. Anyways, he wanted to do marriage counseling with the intent to marry at the end. I told him I'd rather break up because the power dynamic is too shifted and I don't feel like it's salvageable. That's how he was listening to me and finally acknowledging and understanding me and his own actions. I was hopeful for maybe a friendship one day in the distant future. But after a very teary, bittersweet goodbye, he absolutely ruined it with yet another selfish action right at the last moment. I didn't want to be touched or do physical affection for multiple reasons. One of the main reasons being he uses it for comfort when he's feeling sorry for himself. I just spent 3 hours explaining how he never thinks of me in any of his actions. Maybe it's cruel of me to keep that last kiss or whatever, but it felt selfish and manipulative to me. So after an actual heartfelt goodbye and promise to be better people in the future, we part ways. Only for him to run back to me to try and do some romantic swoop in and kiss me. I recoiled really fast and honestly just stared at him incredulously, like he had just ignored everything I had just said. That was the moment I went from sadness and grief from losing something so important to me, to just numb and angry about it. I haven't cried since. I don't even feel sad when I think about him because all I can think about is how angry the whole thing makes me feel. I'm 28 and feel like I wasted my good years on someone who had zero regard for me in any capacity. I developed so many new insecurities, confidence issues, and trauma from 4 years with him. Now I have to navigate the dating pool again. With all of that, in a foreign country no less. And as difficult and as sad as it will be for OP, I'm glad that they're out of that situation now. That is not healthy. Marriage was never going to fix that. Clearly, there was some cult stuff mentioned. It didn't go into too many details, but clearly it's affecting him in a very serious way. He hasn't got any help for it. So I can't see anything changing anytime soon until he does get that help to help him process what he's gone through. But Libra says, how are you and your mum doing? It sounds like you left your home and family for him. Are you thinking of coming back home? Opie says both my family and him are in America. I left for me, my dreams and career. I'm actually thankful that I can go back abroad to be away from him, and honestly, I need some time away from my mum as well. Forward says, bravo. I'm so proud of you for finally ending it with him. It's likely he only understands you now as a form of gaslighting and trying to placate you. I know it hurts now, but with time, you will heal and be stronger. Don't worry about dating right now. Worry about loving yourself and nurturing yourself. Give yourself all the love, support, and understanding you normally gave to him. You deserve it. Hope your therapy visits go well and help you build your self-worth and bullshit detector. I'm so glad to hear you took the right steps towards a healthier, happier life. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit from NeatDraw50, who asks, am I the arsehole for not wanting to visit my wife's grandparents after they gave my brother-in-law a $50,000 truck? My brother-in-law is a 28 male with no job who lives in my in-laws' basement. He is a beast and survives off of welfare checks from the Canadian government. He is capable of working out but chooses not to. My wife, on the other hand, 26 female, moved out at 18, self-funded a degree, works in a good field, $80,000 annually, got married and has never sought a handout from her parents or her grandparents, even though they both have the means. I'm sensing some resentment here. We spent our vacation time the last 2 years visiting her grandparents who lives across the country. Recently, her grandparents, 85, moved out of their house and into retirement living and no longer had the space for both of their vehicles. Her grandpa decided to gift my brother-in-law a truck with a fair value of $50,000. His justification was to help him build confidence and give him something to care for. My wife was given nothing, and they did not do anything to even out the gift. We have a trip planned to visit them in a few months, but I have no interest in going to see them. I'm mad at myself for letting money ruin my perception of them, but I do not appreciate how my wife was treated. I feel like they take her for granted. We always go out of our way to visit them. All of our trips are self-funded. We've never asked anything of them, while lots of her cousins have been bailed out financially. I just have an icky feeling about the whole thing. My wife got upset when I told her I wanted to do something else with our vacation time. She got really upset and it led to an argument. She took the stance that we have to enjoy our time with them while we have it. My wife and I are currently saving for our first house, paying off student loans, and saving for our first child. We still drive my very first car I bought 10 years ago. The situation stings as we could have used the help, while her brother lives a free ride and gets nothing but help all the time. Am I the arsehole for not wanting to see my wife's grandparents because of this? Edit 1. My wife is extremely upset about her brother being given it as well, but is choosing to keep it to herself. She cried multiple times, and my sentiment of her family not appreciating her or taking her for granted comes from her speaking those feelings. Edit 2. My brother-in-law lives with my wife's parents, not her grandparents. He never sees the grandparents. Edit 3. By not see them, I mean postpone the trip to a later date. We just saw them last week while they were here, and now the trip is in less than 2 months. My intention is to let the situation cool a bit more for my wife and I. Edit 4. This is the second vehicle that has been given to him. The last one was given to him by his parents. My wife did not get one from her parents. I'm going to start in the comments with Emperor, who says, I'm going to go against the grain with not the arsehole. The other posters are right. It's not your business who her grandparents give stuff to. That said, spending your vacation time and money to Spend time with people that you resent and have emotionally hurt your wife is something I wouldn't want to do either. Alien Overlord says you're the arsehole. Your wife doesn't seem to care about this as much as you do, and she doesn't seem to be thinking about future inheritances or gifts, only about being with her grandparents. They aren't children. Gifts do not have to be even. So the guy got a second-hand truck. $50K for a second-hand truck. He's still lazy and living off welfare. It's not much of a life, is it? Focus on your own lives and stop worrying about your brother-in-laws. If people want to enable him to keep being lazy and live off welfare, then that is on them. Any Resist says, can you sit out of the trip and let your wife go visit? I don't think it's your place to say she can't see them right now, and maybe it's the last time she'll see them. With them getting older and living across the country, it also sounds like you would like the truck for yourself, but I can't imagine why you should have any more claim to it than your brother-in-law. So you should get over it, or stay out of it, so your wife can see her family. You're the arsehole. Plastic Concert says, taken as an isolated incident, you're the arsehole. I had a childless uncle who had a condo in an amazing location. The type of place that was cheap when he bought it but was worth a lot of money at the time he passed. He gave it to 2 of my cousins. Were the rest of us cousins upset that he didn't have it sold and the profit split? Were we upset we didn't get anything of value? No. It made sense for those 2 cousins to inherit the property. They were the closest to him and were the most likely to actually need or use the condo. However, if this is part of a pattern where your wife feels underappreciated by her family, your feelings are more understandable. This is just the straw that broke the camel's back. Still, this is your wife's call because it's her family. She wants to spend whatever time she has left with her grandparents, and you should respect that. One more comment from Origami Stormtrooper. I went straight to their profile then. I thought maybe they're doing Star Wars origami or something. No luck, unfortunately. They said, it's genuinely really sweet that you're angry and frustrated by this on your wife's behalf. But yeah, I'd let it go. You don't know if they have plans to give us something else later on. But even if they don't, tell her that one possibility is that they see clearly how capable and together she is, and that she doesn't need help from them. Sounds like they would have been better off gifting her brother an intervention of some kind instead of a valuable car. But whatever, grandparents gonna grandparent. Opie left a little comment below and said, update, thank you everyone for your comments so far. You have reinforced my gut feeling that I'm wrong to feel this way. You're also right that I was wrong to make rude comments about my brother-in-law. I never planned to intervene or bring our feelings up with anyone, especially not her grandparents. My only reason for postponing the trip was to let myself cool down before we saw them next. Now for me, I disagree with that update. I get the comments, I get where people are going with this, but I disagree that you saying that you were wrong to feel this way. I don't think you're wrong to want to protect your wife and see what's going on with brother-in-law and feel sorry for your wife because she's clearly upset about it at the same time. Yes, they can do whatever they want with gifting, etc., but you can still feel the way that you feel about it. There's nothing wrong with that. And I kind of feel like the way to deal with the situation is to just let your wife lead the way and just support her when she needs that support. And I think a lot of people were saying to OP, I don't think you're wrong to feel that way. And OP did come in a little bit later and said, yeah, now I'm not sure, lol. When I posted, it was almost exclusively, you're the arsehole. I think my edits help clear stuff up. And again, I think supporting your wife is the right thing to do. Let her lead and just discuss your feelings with her and see how she feels about it. And then let her make her decisions and roll with it, I think, for the time being anyway. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.